Comenzamos el embarque del grupo 1.
Ara començarem a embarcar el grup 1.
Will automatically appear from the panel above your head. Pull it down to release the flow of oxygen and place it over your nose and mouth, adjusting the elastic strap for fit. Remember to always put on your own mask before helping others.
Los reposabrazos bajados.
Cabin crew, please take your seats for landing.